The survey fleet of the Concordiat emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the yellow star's heliopause, their crystalline ships refracting the distant sunlight like frozen fractals. Fleet Commander Ixal stood at the observation deck, her iridescent scales shifting from deep purple to azure as she processed the preliminary scans. This was supposed to be a routine survey of a pre-FTL civilization, yet something about the data made her primary heart flutter with unease. "Sensor Chief," she called out, her translator converting her harmonic speech into standard frequencies. "Confirm these readings." The chief's tendrils wavered as they interfaced with the ship's neural network. "Confirmed, Commander. We're detecting significant artificial structures throughout the system. Multiple planetary bodies show signs of extensive modification." Ixal's secondary hearts joined the first in their uncomfortable rhythm. The briefing had indicated a technological civilization confined to their homeworld, with primitive orbital capabilities and a handful of outposts on their moon and neighboring planet. Instead, their sensors painted a very different picture. The fourth planet blazed with artificial heat signatures, its surface crisscrossed with massive engineering projects visible even from this distance. The second planet, a supposedly uninhabitable pressure cooker, hosted multiple high-altitude structures that defied explanation. Even the system's asteroid belt showed signs of extensive mining and habitation. "Launch the stealth probes," Ixal ordered. "I want detailed observations of every artificial structure in this system, and maintain our position outside their likely detection range." Over the next several orbital periods, the probes transmitted back a steady stream of data that transformed Ixal's unease into something approaching awe. These humans, as they called themselves, had done the impossible. They had thrived in environments that would kill most spacefaring species. The floating cities in the second planet's upper atmosphere were perhaps the most shocking. Massive platforms drifted through the sulfuric acid clouds, protected by energy fields that shouldn't have been possible with their level of technology. Mining operations extracted resources from the hellish surface below, while vast arrays of solar collectors powered it all. "They're not just surviving there," Science Officer Venn noted during one briefing, their phosphorescent spots pulsing with excitement. "They're prospering. The atmospheric processors are slowly transforming the entire planet's composition. They're terraforming it, but not in any way our models predicted would be possible." The fourth planet was even more impressive. What had once been a cold, dead world was being systematically transformed. Massive orbital mirrors focused solar energy onto the surface, while automated factories converted the planet's abundant iron oxide into breathable atmosphere. The humans had essentially built artificial volcanoes to jumpstart a dead world's core. "Their approach is fascinating," Venn continued. "Most species seek out worlds that already suit their needs. Humans instead adapt themselves and their environments to suit each other. They're not just colonizing these worlds, they're remaking them entirely." Ixal found herself spending countless cycles studying the data. The humans lacked faster-than-light travel, yet they had accomplished more with their single star system than many species managed with dozens. Their ships were primitive by Concordiat standards, but they were incredibly robust, designed to function in conditions that would tear apart more advanced vessels. "Commander," her first officer interrupted her contemplation one cycle, "we've intercepted some of their communications. They're discussing plans for something they call a Dyson swarm." Ixal's scales shifted to stark white. "They're planning to build a megastructure around their star, without even having FTL capability." "Yes, Commander. And based on the rate of their current construction projects, they might actually succeed within a few centuries." As Ixal prepared her report for the Concordiat Council, she found herself struggling to capture the full implications of what they'd discovered. How does one explain a species that treats stars and planets as raw materials to be shaped to their will? A species that builds cities in acid clouds and transforms dead worlds into gardens. The standard first contact protocols seemed woefully inadequate. The humans weren't primitive. They were simply different, having focused their technological development in directions the Concordiat had never considered. They didn't need faster-than-light travel when they could remake entire worlds to suit their needs. Recommendations, she asked her senior staff during the final briefing. Diplomatic contact, Ven said immediately. Their engineering capabilities alone make them valuable potential allies. Military intervention, her security chief countered. Any species capable of this level of planetary engineering is a potential threat. If they ever develop FTL travel, Ixal's scales rippled through a complex pattern of colors as she considered both perspectives. The humans were either potential friends or eventual enemies. There would be no middle ground with a species this ambitious, this determined to expand and grow. She began composing her report. To the Concordiate Council, I must advise against any hostile actions toward the Sol system and its inhabitants. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that, while different from our own, indicate a level of technological and engineering sophistication that demands respect. After the initial survey of the Sol system, the Concordiate Council authorized a closer investigation of humanity's extrasolar colonies. Commander Ixal's fleet dropped out of hyperspace near HD 40,307, a system that human communications identified as New Sahara. Fascinating designation, Science Officer Ven used as they approached the system's sole inhabited planet. They named it after one of their world's deserts. The planet that filled their view screens seemed, at first glance, to be nothing more than a failed terraforming attempt. Its surface was a vast expanse of crystalline formations, silicon structures that rose like glass mountains into the thin atmosphere. The star's harsh radiation should have made the surface completely uninhabitable. But as they moved closer, the true scope of human ingenuity revealed itself. The crystals weren't natural formations at all. They were engineered structures, massive geometric shapes that served as both habitats and solar energy collectors. The humans had taken the planet's silicon-rich surface and literally grown buildings from it, using modified bacteria to shape the crystal formations at a molecular level. They're not just surviving here, Ven reported, their bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. They're thriving. The crystal structures act as natural radiation shields while channeling solar energy to underground facilities. And look at this. The main display shifted to show vast underground chambers where crystal formations created perfect growing conditions for engineered plants. The humans had created an entirely new form of agriculture, one that used the planet's natural silicon deposits to grow crystal trees that produced not wood or fruit, but pure industrial materials. The efficiency is remarkable, Ven continued. The crystal formations above ground collect solar energy and filter radiation. This powers the underground facilities where they grow food in traditional hydroponic setups. But they've also engineered new plant species that can grow directly in the crystal matrices, producing industrial materials they need for their colonies. Ixal's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. How many inhabitants? Current estimates suggest over 3 million human colonists, with population growing at a steady rate. They turned what should have been an uninhabitable wasteland into a self-sustaining industrial powerhouse. The fleet spent several cycles observing the colony's operations. The humans had developed specialized vehicles that could traverse the crystalline terrain, their wheels equipped with diamond-tipped grips that allowed them to climb even vertical crystal faces. Massive processing facilities extracted water from deep underground aquifers, while others synthesized atmosphere from the planet's mineral deposits. But it was the crystal gardens that truly captured Ixal's attention. Vast chambers where humans had perfected the art of growing crystal formations into specific shapes and compositions. They created everything from building materials to computer components, all grown naturally from the planet's resources. Commander, her security chief interrupted her observations. We've detected something concerning. The humans are using the crystal formations as massive computing arrays. The entire planet's surface is essentially one giant distributed computer network. Threat assessment. Unknown, but the processing power, it's orders of magnitude beyond what their technological level should allow. They're not using advanced quantum computing or neural networks like we do. They've simply found a way to use natural crystal formations as crude but massive parallel processing systems. Ixal found herself once again revising her assessment of human capabilities. They hadn't tried to force their Earth-based technology onto this alien world. Instead, they had adapted their methods to take advantage of the planet's natural properties, creating something entirely new in the process. They don't see obstacles, she realized aloud. They see opportunities. A radiation-blasted silicon world isn't a hostile environment to them. It's raw material waiting to be shaped. The implications were staggering. While the Concordiat and other advanced civilizations focused on developing technologies to overcome natural limitations, humans simply worked with those limitations, turning them into advantages. They didn't fight nature, they convinced it to cooperate. As she prepared her report on New Sahara, Ixal couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these humans had in store. They had already demonstrated the ability to transform Venus, terraform Mars, and now this, turning a silicon desert into a crystal garden that produced both food and industrial materials. Add this to the report, she instructed her staff. The humans' greatest strength isn't their technology. It's their adaptability. They don't just survive in hostile environments. They find ways to make those environments work for them. This makes conventional threat assessment models inadequate. She paused, watching as a new crystal formation began growing from the planet's surface, its structure precisely controlled by human engineering. They're not just colonizing the galaxy, she continued. They're remaking it, one world at a time. And they're doing it without the advanced technology we assumed would be necessary. The question isn't whether they're a primitive or advanced species. The question is, what will they be capable of once they do develop advanced technology? The next phase of the Concordiat's survey brought Commander Ixal's fleet to Europa 2, an ice moon orbiting a gas giant in humanity's second colonized star system. Initial scans suggested it was yet another routine ice world, but Ixal had learned not to underestimate human ingenuity. Detailed scan results coming in now, Commander, Ven reported, their bioluminescent spots flickering with increasing intensity. You're going to want to see this. The main display activated, showing a cross-section of the moon's ice shell. Beneath 12 kilometers of solid ice, a vast liquid ocean stretched into the darkness. But it was what humans had built in that darkness that left the alien observers speechless. Massive structures dotted the ocean floor, their designs unlike anything in Concordia records. These weren't the pressurized habitats Ixal had expected. Instead, humans had developed buildings that worked with the crushing pressures rather than against them, using the weight of the ocean itself to maintain structural integrity. They're calling it New Atlantis, Ven explained, interfacing with intercepted communications. Population approximately 1 million. But Commander, they're not just living down there. They're transforming the entire ocean. The sensors revealed vast networks of hydrothermal farms, where humans cultivated engineered deep-sea organisms for food and materials. Massive geothermal taps drew energy from the moon's core, while automated mining operations extracted rare elements from the seafloor. Show me their life support systems, Ixal ordered, expecting to find the most advanced technology there. Instead, she found another example of human lateral thinking. They're not fighting the environment, her engineering chief explained, mandibles clicking in amazement. They've engineered new bacterial strains that process the ocean's natural chemicals, creating oxygen as a waste product. The entire ocean is becoming gradually more Earth-like through bacterial action alone. But it was the discovery of the deep laboratories that truly demonstrated humanity's ambitions. In the crushing depths, where pressures would destroy most civilizations' equipment, humans had built research facilities that studied exotic physics. The extreme conditions, rather than being an obstacle, actually aided their experiments. They're using the pressure for quantum containment, the science officer reported. The depth creates natural conditions that our civilization needs advanced technology to replicate. They're not just surviving down there. They're taking advantage of conditions we considered impossibly hostile. The fleet's probes revealed more innovations with each passing cycle. Humans had developed new materials that became stronger under pressure, turning the ocean's crushing weight into a structural advantage. They'd engineered deep-sea creatures to serve as living transportation and cargo vessels. Even their waste processing systems worked with the ocean's natural currents and bacterial life to create sustainable ecosystems. "Commander," her security chief interrupted, "we've detected something unusual in their communication patterns. The humans in these deep-sea colonies, they're changing." "Elaborate," Ixel ordered, her scales shifting to a concerned purple. "Their bodies are showing signs of adaptation to the deep-sea environment. Denser bone structure, modified cardiovascular systems, enhanced low-light vision. And based on their medical records, these changes appear to be intentional." Ixel's primary heart skipped a beat. "They're engineering themselves." "Yes, Commander, but not through advanced genetic manipulation like we would use. They're using a combination of selective breeding, environmental adaptation, and what they call epigenetic triggers to gradually alter their own biology. They're letting the deep ocean reshape them, generation by generation." The implications were staggering. While other species sought to protect themselves from extreme environments, humans were allowing those environments to change them, directing their own evolution to better suit their new homes. As if to underscore this revelation, their sensors detected a group of human children playing in what should have been crushing depths, their modified bodies moving through the dark waters with natural grace. They weren't wearing the expected pressure suits or breathing apparatus. Their bodies had been adapted to thrive in conditions that would kill their surface-dwelling ancestors. "Update the report," Ixel commanded, her scales now cycling through patterns that indicated deep thought. "The humans aren't just colonizing hostile environments. They're becoming part of them. Each colony we've discovered shows signs of gradual biological adaptation to local conditions. In a few generations, we may be dealing with distinct subspecies of humanity, each optimized for their chosen environment." She paused, watching the children at play in the impossible depths. "Add a warning note. Any military action against human colonies must account for their extreme environmental adaptations. A species willing and able to remake themselves to thrive in crushing ocean depths cannot be approached with conventional tactical doctrine." In the darkness of Europa II's ocean, human children continued their games, unaware they were being observed, unaware that their very existence was causing an advanced alien civilization to fundamentally reassess their understanding of what was possible. The Concordiate survey fleet's final destination was a system humans had designated Prometheus. As they emerged from hyperspace, Ixel's crew fell silent at the sight before them. The system's second planet was surrounded by a lattice of orbital structures so vast they were visible from the system's edge. "Energy readings are off the scale," the sensor chief reported. "They're harvesting nearly 30% of the star's total output." Closer observation revealed the true scope of human ambition. The orbital structures weren't mere stations or habitats. They were part of a massive solar energy collection system. Vast mirrors focused the star's energy onto collection points, which then beamed the power to the surface below. And the surface. Ixel's scales rippled with disbelief as the readings came in. "Temperature at ground level exceeds 900 degrees Celsius, Venn reported. "The entire planet's surface is molten. This isn't a natural condition. They're doing this deliberately." The humans had turned an entire planet into a forge. The focused solar energy kept the surface in a constant molten state, while automated systems extracted and refined materials from the liquid rock. Orbital facilities captured the vaporized metals and minerals, processing them into pure industrial materials. "Show me their control systems," Ixel ordered. The display shifted to reveal a network of orbital control stations. Unlike the deep-sea colonies or crystal gardens, these facilities were populated by humans who had barely modified themselves at all. Instead, they controlled vast swarms of automated units that worked directly in the infernal conditions below. "They've developed AI systems for this," the security chief noted, "but not like anything we've seen before. Their automation is primitive by our standards, but incredibly robust. They don't try to make their machines think. They just make them incredibly good at specific tasks. The fleet watched as one of these automated units, a massive harvester nearly a kilometer long, descended into the molten surface. Its hull was designed to channel the extreme heat into its power systems, using the very conditions that should have destroyed it to instead energize its operations. "Commander," Ven interrupted, their spots pulsing rapidly. "We've detected something else. The humans aren't just extracting materials. They're using this facility to test planetary engineering techniques. Look at these simulations we've intercepted." The main display filled with human computational models. They were designing methods to reshape entire worlds, using the Forge world as a testing ground for technologies that could melt planetary cores, modify atmospheric composition, and even adjust orbital periods. They're learning how to build worlds, Ixel realized. This isn't just a refinery, it's a laboratory for planetary engineering. Further investigation revealed the true purpose of the Prometheus system. The humans were developing and testing technologies they would need for their most ambitious project yet, the transformation of Venus back in their home system. They were practicing on this distant world before attempting to cool and reshape their nearest planetary neighbor. Update from long-range sensors, her first officer reported. "We've detected similar construction beginning in 3 other systems. They're building a network of these Forge worlds." Ixel's scales shifted through patterns that had no translation in human language as she contemplated the implications. The humans weren't just adapting to hostile environments or reshaping single worlds. They were developing the capability to transform entire systems. "Revised threat assessment," she ordered. Previous models assumed human expansion would be limited by their lack of FTL travel. This assumption is no longer valid. They don't need to travel quickly between stars if they can remake any world they reach to suit their needs. The security chief's appendages twitched nervously. "Should we classify them as a Class A threat? Their technological approach is unorthodox, but the scale of their operations—" "No," Ixel decided. "Our classification system is inadequate. The humans don't fit any of our existing models. They're not advancing along the technological paths we expected. Instead of developing more sophisticated computers, they grow crystal computers of vast size. Instead of building powerful engines, they create solar arrays that can move worlds. They're not climbing the same technological ladder as other species. They're building their own ladder from materials we considered worthless." She watched as another harvester descended into the molten surface of the Forge world, its hull gleaming with the same material they'd seen in the deep-sea colonies. The humans had taken their innovations from one hostile environment and adapted them for use in completely different conditions. "Add a final note to this section," she instructed. "The humans are not developing technology to overcome their limitations. They are developing technology to rewrite the very definition of what limitations are. We must adjust our entire approach to interstellar diplomacy accordingly." Commander Ixel stood before the Concordiate Council's holographic avatars, her scales shifting through subtle patterns of anxiety as she prepared to deliver her final report. The vast chamber, designed to accommodate representatives of 1,000 species, felt unusually small under the weight of what she had to say. "Honor Council," she began, "I must begin by acknowledging that our initial assessment of humanity was fundamentally flawed. We evaluated them based on what they lacked: faster-than-light travel, quantum computing, advanced genetic engineering. We should have been paying attention to what they had achieved without these technologies." The chamber's displays activated, showing images from her fleet's survey mission. The floating cities of Venus, the crystal gardens of New Sahara, the deep-sea colonies of Europa II, and the Forge worlds of the Prometheus system. Humanity does not follow the conventional paths of technological development we have observed in other species. When faced with a hostile environment, they do not immediately seek to overcome it with advanced technology. Instead, they study it, understand it, and find ways to make its very hostility work in their favor. She gestured to the images of the crystal gardens, When they found a radiation-blasted silicon world, they didn't try to shield themselves from it. They developed bacteria that could shape the silicon into natural computers and habitats. They didn't fight the radiation. They used it to power their growth systems. The display shifted to the deep-sea colonies. When confronted with crushing oceanic pressures, they didn't just build stronger habitats. They allowed the environment to reshape them, guiding their own evolution to thrive in conditions we considered impossibly hostile. Several council members shifted uncomfortably as she displayed the forge worlds. And when they needed industrial resources, they didn't develop more efficient mining techniques. They turned entire planets into processing facilities, using focused stellar energy to keep worlds molten for easy resource extraction. Most concerning, one council member interrupted, their avatar flickering with agitation. They possess planetary engineering capabilities that could be weaponized. With respect, Ixal countered, that perspective exemplifies our failure to understand humanity. We see their ability to reshape worlds as a potential weapon because that's how we would use it. Humans see it as a tool for expansion. They don't want to destroy worlds. They want to transform them into places where life can thrive. She paused, allowing her scales to shift to a formal pattern of absolute certainty. This brings me to my primary recommendation. The Concordiate must fundamentally revise its approach to human civilization. The chamber erupted in discussions, avatars flickering as council members debated among themselves. Ixal waited patiently for order to be restored. Elaborate, the High Counselor commanded. We have 3 options, Ixal explained. First, we could attempt military intervention while their FTL capability is still limited. This would be catastrophic. Their colonies are designed to thrive in conditions that would destroy our forces. Any attempt to blockade them would simply encourage them to develop new adaptations. She continued, second, we could isolate them, prevent them from expanding further. This would also fail. They don't need to expand quickly. They simply remake whatever worlds they reach, no matter how hostile. Isolation would only delay the inevitable while sacrificing potential cooperation. And your third option? Another council member prompted. Alliance, Ixal said simply. But not the kind of alliance we usually forge. We must approach humanity with the understanding that they are fundamentally different from any species we have encountered. They don't need our advanced technology. They need our knowledge of the galaxy's worlds, no matter how hostile we consider them. The display shifted to show human children playing in the crushing depths of Europa II's ocean, crystal gardens growing on New Sahara, and automated harvesters diving into the molten surface of a forge world. Humanity's greatest strength isn't their technology or their adaptability. It's their perspective. Where we see limitations, they see opportunities. Where we see hostile worlds fit only for mining or terraforming, they see new homes waiting to be understood and inhabited. She concluded, the question isn't whether humanity will become a major power in the galaxy. That's inevitable. The question is whether they will do so as our allies, sharing their unique perspectives and innovations, or as potential adversaries, expanding and adapting beyond our ability to predict or contain. The council chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Finally, the High Counselor spoke. You believe they could benefit us. A species that hasn't even mastered faster than light travel. Respectfully, High Counselor, they don't need to travel faster than light. They're not racing across the galaxy. They're transforming it, one world at a time. And yes, they could benefit us enormously. How many worlds have we dismissed as uninhabitable that humans might see as perfect colonies? How many hostile environments could be turned into thriving civilizations using their methods? Ixal's scales shifted to a pattern of deep conviction. We have mastered the art of traveling between the stars. Humans have mastered the art of making every star's worlds their home. Together, we could reshape the very face of the galaxy. As the council began their deliberations, Ixal added one final thought. Just remember, they achieved all of this without the technology we consider essential. Imagine what they might achieve with it. The only question is whether those achievements will be accomplished as our allies or our competitors. The choice, she knew, would reshape the future of galactic civilization. Humanity had already proven they would remake their corner of the galaxy. Now it was up to the Concordia to decide whether to fear that transformation or help guide it.